I never thought my night would end like this. My best friend Kelly and I had gone out for a few drinks to celebrate my birthday. The bar was alive with laughter and music, the kind of place where worries fade, and the night seems infinite. After a few too many cocktails, I felt invincible. Little did I know I was about to learn just how quickly that can change. As the night wore on, I glanced at my phone and realized it was well past midnight. I swayed slightly in my seat, the room spinning ever so slightly. "I think it's time to call a cab," I said, nudging Kelly. "Yeah, good idea." "I'm not in any shape to drive," she replied, giggling. With our phones out, we summoned a taxi through a rideshare app. When the car arrived, we stumbled into the back seat, wrapping our arms around each other for support. The driver, a middle-aged man with dark hair and a stubbled jaw, greeted us with a polite nod. "Where to?" he asked, his voice calm and steady. "Take us to Maple Street, please," I mumbled, trying to focus on the words. I remember leaning back against the seat, my eyelids growing heavier as the cab rolled down the quiet streets. The rhythmic sound of the tires on the pavement lulled me into a sense of safety, and before I knew it, I drifted off to sleep, feeling secure next to my friend. I don't know how long I was out, but something jolted me awake. The car had stopped moving, and an unsettling silence filled the air. I blinked a few times, trying to clear the fog in my mind, but my heart began to race when I realized Kelly was no longer beside me. "Kelly?" I croaked, my voice hoarse. I turned to look out the window, and what I saw sent chills down my spine. We were parked outside a rundown warehouse, the kind of place you see in horror movies, dark, abandoned, and foreboding. The moonlight barely illuminated the rusty exterior, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. "Where are we?" I asked, my voice trembling as I turned back to the driver. But he wasn't looking at me. He was staring straight ahead, a strange, unsettling grin spreading across his face. "Just a little detour," he said, his tone casual as if we were just on an innocent joyride. "You'll like it here." My blood ran cold as panic flooded my senses. "No, we need to go back. We have to get home," I shouted, fumbling for the door handle. But before I could open the door, he turned around sharply, his eyes dark and unyielding. "I don't make this harder than it has to be," he growled, reaching back toward me. In that instant, I realized who I was dealing with, the taxi driver. I remembered the news stories, the rumors about a man who had been targeting women, using his taxi as a trap. I had heard it all before, but never thought I would be caught in his web. A surge of adrenaline pushed me into action. I pulled at the door again, desperately trying to escape. Just as I felt the handle give way, he lunged for me. His hands closed around my wrist, yanking me back into the seat. "Let her go," I screamed, terror flooding my veins. I was fighting for my life. The driver laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down my spine. "You're not going anywhere, sweetheart. You're mine now." In a flash, I caught a glimpse of Kelly in the rearview mirror. She was slumped in the front seat, unconscious or worse, and I knew I had to act fast. I kicked and clawed at him, trying to break free, but he was stronger than I expected. "Stop," he barked, his voice rising as he slammed his palm against the steering wheel. "You'll regret this." I felt the cold metal of a knife press against my neck, and terror twisted my stomach. "Please," I begged, my voice trembling. "Just let us go. We won't tell anyone. I swear." His eyes narrowed, and for a brief moment I thought I saw a flicker of hesitation. But then it was gone, replaced by an icy determination. "Too late for that, darling," he said, a sick smile spreading across his face. I felt the cab jerk violently as he threw it into gear, the tires screeching as we sped away from the warehouse and deeper into the darkness. My mind raced, searching for a way out. Desperation clawed at my insides as I fought to keep calm. I had to think. We drove for what felt like an eternity, winding through desolate streets, the buildings blurring past us in a haze. I knew I had to find a way to escape. In the back of my mind, I recalled a trick I had learned from a self-defense class, the element of surprise. Just as he turned onto a narrow side road, I took my chance. I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone, keeping it low so he wouldn't see. With trembling fingers, I hit the emergency call button, praying I could get help. "Help," I whispered into the phone, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm in a taxi, and he's trying to hurt me. Please send someone." I could hear the operator on the other end, asking questions, but the driver's eyes darted to me, narrowing in suspicion. "What are you doing?" He snarled, his voice dripping with menace. "Nothing," I stammered, my heart racing as I clutched my phone tightly, ready to hang up if I had to. But just as he reached for me again, a police siren blared in the distance, the sound echoing through the night. The driver's demeanor shifted instantly, panic flashing across his face. "Damn it," he growled, swerving the car sharply. I seized the moment, pushing my door open as the taxi rolled to a stop. I leapt out into the street, my legs shaky but fueled by sheer adrenaline. I could hear the driver cursing behind me, but I didn't look back. I ran toward the flashing lights of the police car, my heart pounding in my chest. "Help! Help!" I screamed, my voice breaking. "He's trying to kill us." The officers jumped out of their car, rushing toward me as I pointed back at the taxi. "He's in there. Please, you have to save my friend." They didn't hesitate. 2 officers bolted toward the taxi while another stayed with me, asking questions and trying to calm me down. Moments felt like hours as I waited, panic clawing at my throat. But then a loud shout broke through the night air. "Get out of the car," one of the officers yelled. I turned just in time to see them dragging the driver out of the cab, his face twisted in rage. "You won't get away with this," he screamed, but the officers restrained him, pulling him to the ground. "Is my friend okay?" I pleaded, my heart racing. "Hang tight," one officer said, trying to reassure me. "We'll check on her." After what felt like an eternity, another officer emerged from the taxi, his expression grave. "She's hurt, but we're getting her help," he said, his voice steady. "You did the right thing by calling us." As they led the driver away, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. I had escaped, but the horror of that night lingered in the air like a heavy fog. My heart ached for Kelly, who had been dragged into this nightmare alongside me. In the days that followed, the news broke about the taxi driver who had been preying on young women. They uncovered a string of disappearances that led back years. I watched the stories unfold on the screen, feeling a mix of relief and sorrow. He was caught, but it wouldn't change what had happened. I couldn't sleep, my dreams haunted by the shadows of that warehouse. Every time I closed my eyes, I could still feel his hands around my throat, the cold steel of his knife pressing against my skin. And then there was Kelly. She had survived but was still in the hospital recovering from her injuries. I visited her every day, holding her hand, recounting the details of that fateful night over and over. The world had turned upside down, but through it all, we found strength in each other. We were lucky to be alive, survivors of a horror story that could have ended in tragedy. But even now, I still find myself glancing over my shoulder, waiting for the shadows to move, for the echoes of laughter to turn sinister. The city felt different, a darker place now that I knew its secrets. And sometimes, late at night, I hear the hum of a car engine in the distance and wonder if I'll ever feel truly safe again.